Yeah, me and Nelly were dating. Irv was salty. Irv would not let me come to the studio to record. Irv was telling everyone not to record with me. Why do I want to stay in that situation? How can I stay in that situation?
I want to be with her, but then a part of me is like, you know what? I think I've outgrown you.
The women that you're with, you refer to them as scallywag.
In 2007, he came out with a reality show called Gotti's Way. And Gotti's Way was only 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons showed me an intimate view on what it looked like to decouple, what it looked like to attempt to co-parent, the differences between what a mother felt that the family needed and what she needed as an individual, and what the father thought he needed to do to be a provider and to keep his family together.
Welcome back to Celeb Misty. Grab your popcorn because this one is messy. Is a surviving Irv Gotti documentary on the way? His ex-wife, Deb Lorenzo, is finally breaking her silence and exposing how Irv destroyed their family over his obsession with Ashanti. Let's be honest, we've all seen it. Irv can't get through a single interview without name-dropping Ashanti like she was the love of his life. He's been talking about her for years, and she barely even acknowledges him. It's getting embarrassing at this point. When Ashanti made it clear she wanted nothing to do with him, personally or professionally, Irv lost it. But what's even wilder? Deb says this wasn't just industry drama. It was a full-blown crisis inside their home. According to her, Irv's obsession with Ashanti ran so deep that it ruined their marriage and made their family life unbearable. And let's not forget, this wasn't some teenage crush. Irv was a grown man, married with kids, yet he risked everything for a woman who never even claimed him. Deb stood by him for years, helping him build his career, only for him to throw it all away over a fantasy. And while he was making a fool of himself in public, he made her pay the price at home for trying to keep their family together. This is next-level messy. Now that Deb is finally speaking out, let's break it all down, because this is worse than we ever imagined. A toxic marriage. Irv Gotti and Deb Lorenzo officially divorced in 2013, ending a marriage that lasted over a decade. But people had been saying for years that Deb should have left him much earlier. If Irv was consistent in one thing, it was being a terrible husband. He didn't just disrespect Deb behind closed doors, he did it in front of their kids. Imagine your husband openly mocking you, questioning your intelligence, and even telling your daughter she needs to do better than you. That's cruel. But when Deb married Irv in 2003, she wasn't expecting disaster. She knew he'd be traveling, signing big deals, and building an empire, and she was ready to hold down the family. What she didn't expect was the endless stream of women he brought into their lives. And the worst part, Irv didn't even try to hide it. He genuinely believed he wasn't doing anything wrong. He even told Deb to her face that she was crazy for thinking she could be the only woman to satisfy him. Not only was he unfaithful, but he had the audacity to act like she was the problem for expecting loyalty. And because of his success, Irv felt untouchable. He was living like a bachelor while expecting Deb to accept the humiliation and keep the family together. Their marriage wasn't just toxic, it was a complete disaster. The breaking point, Irv and Ashanti. For a while, there wasn't a single woman that Irv was fixated on. But then, Ashanti entered the picture. As soon as Ashanti became the Princess of Murder, Inc., everything changed. Her songs dominated the charts, she was everywhere, and big brands were throwing deals her way. And Irv, he couldn't stop talking about her. Every conversation, every interview, Ashanti this, Ashanti that. At first, Deb thought this was just business as usual, but soon Irv was spending more time in the studio than at home, and he became more of a part-time father than an actual parent. Then, the whispers started. Rumors that Irv and Ashanti weren't just working together, they were involved. Irv tried to deny it in an infamous Wendy Williams interview, claiming Ashanti wasn't a homewrecker and that their relationship only happened after he and Deb separated. But if you ask Deb, that's a lie. According to her, Their marriage only started falling apart after Ashanti entered the picture. Things got worse when Ashanti moved on with Nelly. That breakup hit Irv hard, and honestly, he never recovered. Losing Ashanti was a blow he simply couldn't handle. And since she wanted nothing to do with him anymore, he allegedly took out all his anger and frustration on Deb. His treatment of her became nastier by the day. He made no effort to hide his bitterness, openly disrespecting her, even in front of their kids. Imagine growing up watching your father treat your mother like she was nothing. It was cruel. And the worst part, Deb couldn't just walk away. She and the kids were financially dependent on Irv. She didn't have a stable job or her own money to leave, and Irv knew it. Instead of supporting her, he used that power against her. He wanted full control over her life, just like he thought he had over Ashanti, Irv's public obsession and Deb's freedom. Even before Irv admitted he had feelings for Ashanti, the industry was already buzzing with rumors. Most people thought she was involved with Ja Rule or C. Santana. No one suspected Irv. So when he finally went public, saying he was in love with Ashanti, he shocked everyone. And from that moment on, everything changed. His career, his family, everything. Irv didn't just love Ashanti, he was obsessed, and everyone around him paid the price. He became shameless, bragging about his affairs. He even claimed he was the one who gave Karen Stefans the nickname Superhead. And if that wasn't wild enough, he flat out said cheating was his right, like it was just part of the game. At first, Deb had tolerated the cheating, not because she was okay with it, but because he kept it quiet. But now, he was broadcasting it to the world with no shame. Their kids were old enough to see and hear everything. At that moment, Deb knew she was done. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was public humiliation. So she made the decision she should have made years ago. She packed her things and left. And honestly, that was the best thing she could have ever done. Because while Irv is still out here chasing old fantasies and running his mouth, Deb finally got her freedom. Even now, at 48 years old, Irv is still talking about how he wants a woman who will let him cheat, like that's some kind of privilege, delusional. And after all these years, he's still hung up on Ashanti. No matter how many women he's been with, how many interviews he's done, or how much money he's made, Ashanti is still the one that got away. And now that Deb has told her truth, the internet has a lot to say. One comment said, Irv Gotti beat the feds in $1 million money laundering case, but instead of telling that story, he chooses to talk about the time he slept with Ashanti 20 years ago. And another, they say women are emotional, but an emotional man will do 32 interviews about a woman who hasn't typed a single sentence about him. At the end of the day, Deb broke free, Ashanti moved on, and Irv, he's still talking about the same woman who won't even acknowledge him. Karma is real. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Deb should have left sooner? Was she just trying to hold her family together? And do you think Irv ever really loved Ashanti? Or was it just obsession? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned, because the drama is far from over.